it's a little terrifying because you absolutely cannot miss.
Goalies now are completely at a premium.
Not, right? Like, Canada doesn't have a ton of great options. Welcome to the big show. I am Ryan Kennedy, joined as always by Michael Traikos, and joined frequently by former NHL goaltender Devan Dubnyk, who is here with us once again today. And we're going to start off with some goalie talk. Connor Hellebuyck, superstar with the Winnipeg Jets, will be out 4 to 6 weeks after having knee surgery on the weekend. So the question to kick us off is, how competitive can the Jets be without their number one goaltender? Devan, I will go to you first.
Well, we're going to find out. We haven't really needed to find out with how many games that Hellebuyck has played every single year in the past. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is an eye-opener for them that he's playing too much, and they might not have a choice but to play Comrie a little more. But this is a great opportunity for Eric Comrie. I think that, he hasn't had this opportunity ever in the past. And Winnipeg's obviously a good team. They're a good defensive team. Hellebuyck makes them a great defensive team. But this is a chance for Eric Comrie to be a starting goaltender right now. And you never know when those opportunities are going to arise. And he finally has one. So this is a good chance for him to show what he can do. Winnipeg's going to need it. Connor Hellebuyck is irreplaceable. So you're not going to get the same level of goaltending. Doesn't matter who you put in there. You just don't replace a guy like that. So good opportunity for Comrie to get in there and hopefully just be solid back there and be a guy and show that he can play game after game in a row. And, just keep Winnipeg steady here until Hellebuyck comes back.
And real quick follow-up before I go to Mike here. How does a goalie's mindset change when they're going from a backup to a starter? Just in terms of getting proper rest and the mental edge you need to be on every other night of the week, because, you typically play 2 or 3 games a week.
Yeah, the mental side of it, your memory has to become a little shorter. As a backup goalie, you have, especially when a guy that doesn't play as much, you have your game coming up, right? That game's on a pedestal. It's like, all right, my game, I got my one game in 2 weeks. I know what's coming. I know what's on the schedule. I'm prepping in practice this way leading up to it. I know that's my game. After that game, same thing. It's like I got another week and a half before to go over all these things. When you're a starting goaltender, you're playing every other day, you still have to review games and you got to do video and all that stuff, but it's got to be, and I'm talking wins or losses. I'm not talking about if you have a bad game, you got to forget about it. It's just, if you have a great game, you try to grab from that as much as you can to move into the next game, to keep that confidence high, to try to get some momentum going. And if you have a bad game, it's got to be out the window. You have to find consistency in that every single game you're providing close to the same effort and goaltending as you have been in the past games. And it's just a different way of going about things. It's a different way of practicing. It's a different way of I wouldn't say taking care of yourself. Everybody's going to try to take care of themselves during a hockey season. But the way that you practice, the way that you prepare, you're touching on things. You're not taking as many looks in practice. And these are all things that it's a learning process when you get thrown into this. And like I said, this is not a situation that the Winnipeg Jets have really faced at all in recent memory. So it's going to be new. But I always look at it as just a great opportunity for somebody to go in there who's shown that they can play really well. And you can't figure this stuff out by just saying I'll do it when the time comes. You have to have that opportunity and you have to actually go experience it. And this is I'm excited for him. I know Comrie well, trained with him a little bit off and on in summers toward the end of my career, and he's a really nice kid, really focused, and I'm excited to see how he does.
Excellent. Mike, obviously Winnipeg's going to miss Connor Hellebuyck, but Team USA needs to think about their goaltending as well with the Olympic roster. Now, I guess we're looking at Hellebuyck hopefully coming back in early to mid-January. Olympics aren't until February. But what kind of impact do you think this has on Team USA, having Hellebuyck miss all this time and for him to be potentially ramping back up right before the Olympics?
Yeah, Team USA is going through something right now, Ryan. Like the injury bug is really affecting the Americans more so than any other country, it feels like. Charlie McAvoy, I don't know if he's even going to be able to play now with what he's, obviously taking that puck to the face. Hughes, it seems like he's in and out of the lineup. Jack Hughes, currently out. We'll see if he's ready to play back when the Olympics start. But, if Hellebuyck's back in January, I still think that's his net. I don't think Nick Ottinger or Jeremy Swayman or Thatcher Demko or whomever might be for the starting job with the Americans is going to unseat Connor Hellebuyck. Right now it's just how does the Winnipeg Jets deal with this? Because we're probably looking at somewhere between 14 and 20 games. And I don't know if there's a team in the NHL that relies more on their goaltender than the Jets do with Connor Hellebuyck. Well, let's face it. The guy won the Vezina. You win the Vezina because you're a great goalie, but you also win the Hart Trophy because you're so important to your team. And, without Connor Hellebuyck, the Jets just aren't the Jets. And I agree with what Devan said about Eric Comrie. I think he's probably one of the more popular players in the league just because he's such a breath of fresh air whenever he gets in front of a microphone. But the kid's only played 20 games in a season. So it's going to be a lot to ask of him. And he's already played 7 this year. So, is he going to get all the starts? No. And the question is, if he's not in the net, then you've got another guy, Thomas Milic, who hasn't even made an NHL start yet. So I guess the Jets are going to have to see if they can weather this storm or if they have to go out and get some help.
Yeah. And if you want to read more about Eric Comrie, stay tuned for the next issue of the Hockey News print edition, which should be coming out in a few days. We actually have a feature on Eric Comrie and what a good teammate he is. So how about timing for that? It's almost like we knew, but we didn't. And you make a great point about Team USA's Olympic roster. Their injury report right now is yes. Speaking of goaltenders, Joseph Woll with the Toronto Maple Leafs, now back with the team. Since his return from an undisclosed personal matter, he's 1-2-1 with a .905 save percentage and a 3.27 goals against average, which on Toronto this year qualifies as good. But they are still struggling mightily. So, Devan, I'll start with you on this one. How do you evaluate Joseph Woll's play so far since his return?
I think it's been fine. Like you said, I think that those stats are not bad by any means, especially when you look at league-wide save percentage. There's certainly nothing wrong with a .905 right now, and really, unless he goes in there and steals something and does something crazy for a couple games, goaltenders play consistently is going to go with the team and how they're performing. And Toronto certainly hasn't been great defensively, so there is a possibility for him to go in there and be Superman for a game or 2 games and do that, but that's not sustainable. That he's not going to go in there and play at a .940 if the team defense in front of him isn't allowing it. And so I think that's pretty reflective on what's happening in front of him. And so I would say it's pretty good. Definitely room to be better, but it's certainly not something that I'm looking at saying that this is a major problem. It's also a pretty small sample size as well. So after coming back from a extended absence, I think he's doing just fine with room to be great. And right now, it might take that to get Toronto moving in some sort of positive direction. Is just a few out of this world performances from their goaltenders, because they're kind of putting them in situations that needs to happen in order for them to get a win. And sometimes you just do, a game or 2 like that, you go out and give that performance, and it kind of just everything ties together and they're able to move forward. So you can't approach a game like that. You can't enter a game thinking I have to go out. I've said this over and over. I can't go make a 50 save shutout if it's not put in front of me. You have to go and handle what's in front of you. And so it's focusing on the things that make him feel good, what he needs to do. And if he can put together a couple great performances, it might just help Toronto get on track. But that's also a team thing, like I was talking about.
Yeah, I take back everything I said about the Jets, Ryan. There's not a team that depends more on the goaltender than the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, because they are just god awful defensively. And Devin, I don't know how you play in front of that defense. Like, I don't know how you wouldn't be just barking at all of the forwards and the defensemen, just being like, guys, can I get a little help here? Because Woll gets pulled against the Montreal Canadiens. That was a mercy pull if I've ever seen one. Like, it was just. Baru even said, he's like, we're giving freebies to them up and down the lineup. So I really feel for whoever is in the net right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, and here's the thing too, when you're playing and to be able to put together, like I said, one or two of these out of these world games, is that you have to have structure in front of you. And that doesn't mean that you're getting 20 shots. You could get 50 shots. And they might be defending the whole game, but as long as there's structure in front of you and you can know what's happening. But as soon as that starts to become a situation where you can't read off of the players in front of you, you don't know what's going to happen. There's no rhyme or reason behind what's going to be available. Then it becomes almost impossible to put together games like that. If the other team is all over you and they're shooting pucks and they're getting scoring chances, but you still feel like it's structured and controlled in front of you, then you're able to put on those performances because you can read off of the players in front of you. It's when it gets chaotic and you don't really know what anybody's going to do, it's impossible. And not only do those pucks go in, some pucks start to go in on straight shots that maybe don't look like shots that should go in because you're thinking there's 5 other guys on the ice that are open, even though there should be 4. It feels like there's 10, and there's nothing that makes sense, and things happen fast.
Right on. Well, if you're a Leaf fan and you're despondent right now, just remember when Craig Berube was coaching St. Louis, they were dead last and they went on to win the Stanley Cup. So if you wanted to put on the ultimate blue and white colored glasses, just keep that in and hold on to that as much as you can, Leaf fans, because really it's the only thing that you can hold on to right now, because they don't even have a first-round draft pick. So you can't even say they're tanking because that won't do them any good. Let's stick in the Atlantic Division. Montreal Canadiens have signed forward Alexandre Texier to a 1-year, $1 million contract. He had been with St. Louis, but not really, because he'd only played 8 games, had 1 assist, had been assigned to the AHL. Mike, thoughts on this signing? Texier, a player that didn't have a great exit from Columbus either. Had a lot of ups and downs with that organization. Do you think this is somebody that can help Montreal, who's obviously, got that big win against the Leafs on Saturday?
Yeah, I do think they can help, or Texier can help. Obviously, they're without Patrick Laine, no Alex Newhook, Kirby Dach, all of them out with long-term injuries. So they needed all the help they can get. They were apparently interested in Toronto's David Kampf, who obviously signed in Vancouver, but $1 million for a guy that you can play in either your top line, second line, third line, maybe even a pinch even on your fourth line. Again, there's no risk in this move. The other guy that might be taking his spot though is Florian Xhekaj, who scored in his debut for the Habs against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So you got 2 Xhekajs on the ice. That's I don't know if I want to be playing in the Atlantic Division right now.
And he had that great 80s style fight near the end of the game. It feels like we're getting back to the no defense fights. There was one in the AHL.
Like watching a Rocky movie.
Yeah, where just straight up punches, no defense. Fun for me to watch because I'm not the one getting punched in the face. Yes. But Devin, how you feeling about Montreal and their depth right now?
And that's really what it is. There's no downside. It's all upside. Listen, if this goes south, they bury him in the minors. It's nothing against the salary cap. It's below that limit. He's gone. He's essentially gone. So, if there's a attitude issue there where it's causing the exits from these teams, well, that's easy to solve. See you later. But it does provide upside in that he can probably play any top 9 spot, move up and down, in and out. If he starts to provide some points, great. He's a guy who's got some NHL experience. So he's a guy that you put in your lineup. This is a team now that's expecting to win. They're doing well. You're not just going to throw a young guy in a spot who's not ready for it to develop. This is a guy who can now fill a spot for the time being, hopefully contribute. And at the end of the day, if he doesn't, he doesn't. And they move on from him. And this is, you know, I wouldn't say a last chance for a guy like this, but it's an opportunity. Obviously, his time had passed in St. Louis. Now this is a good fresh start for him, opportunity to go and do something and continue to prove that he's an NHL player that can contribute. And, you know, he's certainly not old, but he's got some experience.
Indeed.
And it could be a guy like Ryan, like he was good in Columbus. Like what he had, like 11 goals one year, 12 goals the other year. Then he goes to St. Louis, and it hasn't been a fit there. So sometimes it is the team you're on, and just, you know, another change of scenery. But we'll see, I guess.
Indeed. Well, sort of the polar opposite, a player on a big money contract long term that his team definitely wants in the lineup is Dallas's Mikko Rantanen, who unfortunately has been suspended one game after he was ejected for boarding Flames forward Matt Caronato. This comes on the heels of him hitting Alexander Romanov from behind against the Islanders, something we talked about last week on the show. Romanov now out long-term, unfortunately, in the aftermath there. Rantanen, 28 points in 22 games. That's what we expected. But he also leads the NHL in penalty minutes with 57. Arber Xhekaj has got to be like, what do I got to do here to take the crown? But thoughts on this Mikko Rantanen that we're seeing? Mike, I'll start with you. I'm kind of surprised that this happened like basically 2 games. I don't know if it was 2 games in a row, but at least 2 out of 3. I don't know if they played in between, but these dodgy hits. The first one, I think we thought like, okay, well, maybe he got tangled up with Mayfield a bit, but the Caronato one was just a straight up hit from behind. What's gotten into Mikko Rantanen?
I don't know, man. You know, leaving Colorado, he's still maybe angering over that trade, Ryan. You know, Last year you only had 60 penalty minutes. So to your point, like he's 3 away from, you know, reaching what he did last year. Like we all know Mikko Rantanen is just a beast of a man. Like they call him the Moose for a reason, but you know, this is not like him. I think if you're a Dallas fan, you kind of like the idea that he's playing with a bit of an edge, but at the same time, it's the wrong kind of edge because he's 10th on the team in body checks. So square that away with you, right? Like 10th on the team in body checks, but he leads the NHL in penalty minutes. You know, I'd rather him lead the league in body checks and be 10th on the team in PIMS. Yeah.
Devin, you know, with a player like that who has that power forward build and has so much skill, how difficult is it to walk that line when you're somebody as big as Rantanen is?
Yeah, well, you don't know if they're asking him to play differently or if he's choosing to or whatever that is. You know, he's not a dirty player by any means. That's not his game. He's played for plenty long enough for us to know that. But he is a huge player, and so if he decides to get a little more aggressive, then you know things can happen. And I think, you know, when I look at this Calgary hit, to me that's just a little bit of over aggression. I think that he, you know, if you watch the play develop, he makes the decision that he's going to go hit him and kind of reaches a point of no return in his mind and follows through with it when at some point he should have realized that hit wasn't there to be made anymore. Now, before, would he have made that decision that he was going to make that hit? I think that's where the change is, and whether or not, you know, he needs to pull back on that. So if you're going from somebody who wasn't playing overly aggressive before to somebody who wants to play a little bit more aggressive because he is the Moose, he is a massive human being and is bigger and stronger than everybody on the ice, then, you know, there might be a little learning curve to finding that. I don't think it's weird that it happens in back-to-back games, but I think they're 2 very different plays. I mean, obviously you guys have talked about the Islanders game, but you know, he's chasing a puck down, they're down a goal. He's trying to do everything he can to go get the puck, and he gets clipped and loses his balance. Again, you know, maybe a little over aggressive still after losing the balance, but that things happen fast, so you're not going to sit there and break it down too much. But weird that they happen back to back. If he wants to play more aggressively, he wants to do this, then, you know, now is his learning curve to figure out what works and what doesn't. But you know, I agree with Michael where you don't want the penalties to be coming on stick infractions or things like that. If he's going to be overly aggressive, we'll take the hitting penalties, let him iron that out. But as the player that he is going to be natural for him to pull back to the way he's played his entire career, if that's something that has felt like needs to happen.
Right on. Well, his former team, the Colorado Avalanche, are doing just fine without him. They've won 9 in a row. They're on top of the Central with a 16-1-5 record. Scott Wedgwood is on fire with 13 wins and a 2.23 goals against average, best in the league. Cale Makar leads all NHL defensemen with 29 points, and Nathan MacKinnon leads the NHL with 17 goals and 37 points. So the question I pose to you, and Mike, I'll start with you. Can anyone stop the Avs at this point?
It doesn't look like it, Ryan. And, it doesn't matter who's in net. Like, I thought we were all assuming that Wedgwood was just going to be the stopgap until Mackenzie Blackwood got back. But now, I'm hearing rumblings that, how does Team Canada leave Wedgwood off their roster with the way he's been playing? And it has been impressive. That is a team with 0 holes in the lineup. Like, you go up and down, whether it's the forward, the defense, the goaltending, they're all locked in. And if Colorado's not the number 1, seed right now to win the Stanley Cup, then I don't know who is, because, I don't see any flaws in their game.
Indeed. Devan, your thoughts on the Avs? And I also wonder too, in adding a guy like Brent Burns, who's at the end of his career, but, has not won a Stanley Cup yet. And a lot of these Avs have, is that like just a little bit of extra motivation to have what, from what I can tell, is a great guy in the room that you want to win for as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little down the road. Brent Burns he's a great addition because, he's, as far as offense, he's not going to provide what he's provided his whole career, but he's an amazing guy in the room. He's funny. He brings energy. He looks after himself. He plays the game hard. He's a big boy. Like, it's such a great add to an already great team where he can give you, just because he's not putting up offense doesn't mean he's not contributing. And that's just the kind of player that he is. So he's kind of a perfect fit there. But when you get somebody like that, obviously as you get down the road, for sure, it's motivation to be there. And if it's not motivation for anyone else, it's extra motivation for Brent Burns, which I don't think he needs any of, but it's certainly going to provide that. And, this Colorado team this is a runaway train. I mean, nobody's getting in the way. It doesn't matter if you do. It's not stopping. There's nothing to stop it. From what Michael just said, it's goaltending all the way out. They'll beat you 7-6, or they'll beat you 1-0. And it's however the game falls, however the game starts to go, they're going to settle in and be comfortable with it and get the job done. And they've showed us over and over and over again. And this has been a good team every year. And this version of it certainly seems special. Now, if you got 2 goalies doing their thing like they are, there's back-to-back shutouts now with two separate goalies in net. Look out. I mean, look out at their offense to begin with. Now you got goalies who don't let the puck in. It's going to be tough to lose. And I agree. I was watching last night trying to figure out how Scott Wedgwood does not make Team Canada. Who are you putting ahead of him? And it's been, I don't see it stopping. He looks incredible in there, and he has for the entire year. So what's going to change? Like, how do you watch him, assuming nothing changes between now and the time they have to name the roster? How do you watch him play this season and pick somebody else?
Yeah. Well, how much does politics play into it as well? Like, Wedgwood, he was a World Junior goaltender. Let's not forget, like, he has worn the maple leaf in international competition. But, I keep hearing like, Logan Thompson's not going to make the team because so-and-so coach and the goaltending coach, they don't care for him. It's just like, what are we doing here, guys? Pick the 3 best goalies, pick the guys who are the hottest, come February, and just like stop trying to overthink it, because it's not like you have a Patrick Waugh or a Marty Brodeur there. You're going, okay, well, he's obviously going to be the guy. Like, I would just go with the best goalies. And right now I agree with you, Devan. Like, Wedgwood has to be on that team.
Yeah. No, I like it. Let's stick on the western side of things. The Seattle Kraken, second in the Pacific Division. And the Pacific Division has been a roller coaster all year, so who knows? But second best defense in the NHL right now. Third best team save percentage in the NHL at .908. So, Devan, I'll go to you first on this one. Do you believe in the Kraken yet, or is this a mirage?
It's not a mirage, but they've found their key to success, really, and that's just what it's going to have to be with Seattle, is that team defense. Just not a team that can get away from that. I think we saw, in recent memory here, that when they do get away from that, they're just not going to keep up offensively, and that's fine. That's their identity, and that's how they play. So if they've gotten comfortable as a team, how they play defense, the goalies are comfortable with how they're defending in front of them, obviously with the team save percentage, then this is the recipe for success. And now for them, it's being able to put that together for the rest of the season. But you're certainly walking on thin ice a little bit if it's if the team defense goes away a little bit and you don't have that firepower to bail yourself out a little bit. We just talked about Colorado, where they'll beat you 7-6 or 1-0. I don't know if Seattle can beat you 7-6. Maybe they can, but I don't think so. So if they can consistently put together that defensive effort, that's going to be their recipe to try to stay up in that Pacific Division.
Yeah. They do have one of the worst offenses in the NHL. So it is very much, we can't score, so you can't score. That's how they're going to win. But Mike, what is your confidence level in Seattle right now?
I don't know how confident I am in a team that, like you just said, Ryan and Devin just said, like, this team does not score. Like, only 3 teams are averaging fewer goals per game. It's the Rangers, it's the Flames, and the Predators. So, they're pretty bad teams that are below them. So they're going to have to just rely on goaltending and defense. And, I keep hearing Brandon Montour's name mentioned for Team Canada. This is slowly becoming a Team Canada Olympics episode here, boys. But, Montour's, I wonder if he kind of gets on that team just because of how well he's playing for the Kraken. And, Jordan Eberle and Jaden Schwartz are leading the team in scoring. Neither guy's in the top 100 in NHL scoring. So they need all the help they can get on the defense side.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to yank that trend away because I want to finish up talking about Jesper Wallstedt, who is incredibly Swedish. So he is not eligible for Team Canada, even though they could use him in net because he's got 3 shutouts in his past 5 games, all of which have been wins. Now leads the NHL with a .935 save percentage, second with a 1.94 goals against average. Minnesota's hot. So, Mike, I'll go to you first on this one. Is it time to fear the Wild, or are they just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time because they are in a division with Colorado and, to a lesser extent, Dallas?
Yeah, I think it is time to fear. I mean, I think, if I'm the Winnipeg Jets, that's the team that I'm kind of worried about because, it's all about right now, Winnipeg, how do they survive without Connor Hellebuyck in? And you've got a team like Minnesota Wild where, they are getting great goaltending from Wallstedt. And, that is a team that's probably not going to go anywhere as we go out throughout the season. So it's a great year to be a young goalie, it seems like, Ryan, because you got Yaroslav Askarov, Jakub Dobic, Artus Shilovs. They're all playing really well. All of them are Calder eligible, if you can believe it, which is just kind of insane. But yeah, to your point, the Wild, I always thought they were going to be a good team this year just because they do have so many young guys that are kind of reaching their prime potential.
Yeah. Devin, you obviously know a lot about Minnesota. We've talked about Wallstedt before, but just your thoughts on the fact that he has kept this hot streak going as long as he has recently.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy and it's fun to watch. He's a fun goalie to watch. I like the way he plays. He's not a robot in there. He plays the game, not afraid to kind of break away from it a little bit. He's been incredible. And, this is the team who's got another good goaltender too in Gustafsson. Like, this is a great problem for the Wild to have, but it's an interesting thing to navigate because Gustafsson's been fine. And he looks good in there. So it's like, you can't take away all his starts, but how do you not play Wallstedt? So they're going to have to navigate kind of how to go about this because Wallstedt has absolutely earned, demanded, forced them to play him more. So we might start seeing a lot closer to a 50-50 split, which is great if they're both playing well. And as far as the Wild, I think so. I think that even looking at they're back where they need to be now. Things were trending in the wrong direction, obviously. Even during that streak, I talked with Marcus Foligno a little bit. He lives down the street, and we were talking while the kids were getting Halloween candy. We were walking down the street, and it was pretty down in the room, but they dropped like 5 or something in overtime and a shootout, or 4 or 5, and it was like, we kind of said, you take half of those and make them wins, and no, it's not like great, but it's certainly not as dire as it seems. Mm-hmm. And now they're starting to piece wins together. So yeah, it's like they got Dallas and Colorado, but that's for them to worry about down the road. If they continue to play like this, you're right. Winnipeg is now not, it's not like Winnipeg is first place in the West and they've got all this room, this buffer room. Now you've got your Colorado running away. You got Dallas. You've got Minnesota now who's there. And, this window could get real small for Winnipeg if they aren't able to piece things together without Hellebuyck, and, not just stay afloat, but actually, have a winning record during that time. So I like what I see for Minnesota. I think for them, they've got to try to stop with the ups and downs throughout the season. I mean, we saw last year was this ridiculous 18-4 start, I think it was. And then they made the playoffs with like 20 seconds left in the year. Like there's and same thing this year with the downs, and now they're way up. If they can find kind of a steady up, maybe not 3 shutouts every 5 games up, but somewhere in the up where they continue moving up the standings. Again, I don't know about contender, but certainly a good looking hockey team and 2 great goalies.
There you go. All right. Well, for over 75 years, the Hockey News has been the ultimate hockey fix. Now you can get 12 issues delivered straight to you, packed with stories, stats, and a bonus gift issue to kick things off. Head over to thn.com and get in on the action. Gentlemen, it is now time for rapid fire. And we're going to start with a fun one. It's the last week of November, meaning Movember is coming to an end. So who has the best mustache in the NHL? You can go current or all time. Mike, I will start with you. Who is your favorite?
Ooh, it's hard not to go Lanny McDonald all time because, man, he invented the mustache, I think, right? For current, you know what? I'm going to go Austin Matthews. Like, the guy's hanging on to that. That dirty Sanchez kind of mustache. And, you think he would have shaved it by now, especially with all the things that the Leafs are going through, but he keeps rocking it. And I feel like it's starting to kind of, permeate throughout the NHL. So, I'll give Matthews some flowers there. All
right. Yeah. You're suggesting maybe he goes Artemi Panarin on his upper lip.
He should
just turn things around. I like it.
And then accept it up top too. Come on.
There Matthews. You go. Exactly. Devan, who do you like on Mustache Patrol?
Yeah, you got to give a shout out to Lanny McDonald. It's the legend. It's like if you just say mustache and it's like the first thing pops in your head. You can just see his face. You can see his face with a helmet on. That's Lanny McDonald all day. Philip Forsberg, man, all day. That is when he walked into the Sweden games in his traditional Swedish. We were covering on NHL Network. I can't remember the name of it now. But he had a traditional Swedish folk outfit on that was quite obviously tailored to make him look sharp. It looked unreal. Add the stash to it, it was lights out.
Nice. We asked him how he styled that mustache, and he's like, at this point, it's like a self-playing piano. It just it twirls on its own.
Nice. I always kind of like current. For some reason, Sam Bennett. His mustaches have always been really strong to me. He just kind of like it's like the perfect like cop mustache. And for the role he plays on the ice, he's someone that you don't want to mess with. So I feel like, Sam Bennett's got a good one. Speaking of NHL players on the ice, we've asked this before, but who had a good week or a bad week? Mike, I'll start with you. Who do you think Sean or was in the dumps?
I'll go hot and cold. So for my hot, I mentioned him earlier, Yaroslav Askarov of the San Jose Sharks. He went 3-0. He allowed a combined 6 goals, all of them in wins against Boston, LA, and Utah. Those are good teams, guys. For cold, I'm going to go Quinton Byfield. I thought this year was going to be the year, Ryan. We'd see him take that huge step, but no points in his past 3 games, no goals in the last 4. LA's now on a 3-game losing streak. Byfield only 4 goals in 22 games. So it doesn't look like he's going to have that breakout 30-goal season.
Wow. York Simcoe Express. Shout out to them. Quentin
My
Byfield.
neighborhood.
That's right. Devin, hot, cold, one or the other, both. What do you got?
Well, I'm going to stick with hot. I got to be a better journalist and start looking at cold players, but I still got the former player in me, so I just like to look at positives. Quick shout out to Jason Robertson, 10-4 in 6 games is pretty outrageous, but I figured that was the easy one. How about Ovi?
Yeah.
7 goals, 3 assists in 7 games. Everybody talking about him slowing down. Of course, he is slowing down a little bit, but he's 40 years old. But how fun was it to see him put a hat trick up there and start to put the puck in the back of the net and just remind us that he's got over 900 goals.
Indeed. And I will take credit for that because when we were doing the magazine last week, my note for Washington was about how he had to get hot because he was super cold. And then, of course, before it even goes to print, he breaks out and makes me look silly. So good job, Ovi. Next one's kind of a fun one here. So we had some goalie mask designers, artists Jordon Bourgeault, Travis Michael, and Dave Freed have been using iPads to design goalie masks for Anthony Stolarz, Thatcher Demko, Dustin Wolf, and more. So, Devin, this one's for you. When you were with Dave Gunnarsson, what was the process like when he was designing masks for you?
Well, I got to give a shout out. So I used Dave for a little bit, and the last 5 years of my career, I used Franny Drummond actually, who's at Paint Zoo Studios out in Pennsylvania. Nice. And he's been incredible. So nothing against Dave. I like to go a little more thought into mine, a little more personal. Dave does a really great job of, they look great. They're very team based. They're very good. Not as much personal side with Dave. And again, I don't want to say anything bad about him because he makes an incredible product. But I enjoyed working with Franny. I kind of stuck to, so I wanted a mask that had a cool team-based design that looked good. So it had good colors from afar. And then when you got up close to it, there was some cool parts too. I don't like, unless you're going retro, I like the masks that are very, very basic that just look really good from afar. There's masks that are really cool when you hold them in your hand, like the details, and it's like a motorcycle paint job and they're cool. And then you get them on TV and it's like the colors aren't even team colors and you don't even know what it is because it's happening so fast and it's on there for 1 second and it's cool to hold, but not the same. So I try to go kind of a little bit in between, and then working with him was cool. I always put my kids on the back and he would paint them on there like hand brushed. So it was like a portrait, and he was an incredible artist. So every time the mask came, it was always fun. I'd send him pictures of the boys, and he would hand paint them on. One, my away mask or dark mask that I had with San Jose, he painted the kids as Avengers. So he had nice. Iron Man, Thor, and the Hulk on there with the kids' faces. So it was pretty cool. It was always fun to do that, and I like to have a little bit of creative input with it, where I'd give them some ideas, but then kind of let the artists go with it because their minds are wired completely differently than most people's, which is why they're doing what they're doing.
There you go.
That's
excellent.
So
cool. All right. So final question. A video went viral on the weekend of Connor Bedard being hounded for an autograph while he was walking with some buddies. They wanted him to sign some gorgeous magazines. They just happened to be the Hockey News. No sweat there. Mike, I'll go to you first because I want to end on Devin because I'm sure he has experience in this field. But
I haven't been asked for too many autographs. I got to admit there, right?
It's true. I think I've been asked for one in my life, and I've been doing this for 20 years, and it was weird. Maybe they were just looking for my PIN number as well. But Mike, what do you think of Connor Bedard? Eventually, he hesitantly signed it, but it was literally like, hey, please leave me alone.
Leave these guys alone. Okay. If the kid was 8 years old, 12 years old, yeah, sign them. Sign whatever they put in front of you. But these guys look like they were pushing our age, Ryan. Maybe at the very least they were 30 years old. We know what's going to happen. And Devin, you could probably speak more on this. I've seen guys leave the rink, and it's not just, hey, can I get your autograph? It's, hey, I've got a binder of every single hockey card that you've ever been featured in. Now sign 100 of them for me so I can put them on eBay and pay for my mortgage. So, let's leave Connor Bedard alone. The Blackhawks are finally playing well. He's playing fantastic. He doesn't need this nonsense.
Devan, what do you think of the capitalist enterprises of grown men chasing you around, visiting arenas while you're trying to make a living?
Here's the thing. People have to understand. There's like Michael was touching on. There's two different things. There's people that actually want autographs. There's people that are selling the autographs. The people that wait for you outside of the hotel, that follow you down the street when you're going for dinner with all their organized binders, they are looking to make money off of it. Now, you can argue, hey, they're just trying to make some money, whatever that is. That's fine. So if you want to take the time when it makes sense to sign something, you could do it. I don't think you have to do it. I would sign sometimes. Now, here's what people have to understand too. It's like yes or no, because as soon as you stop and start signing something, you're signing 400 things, and eventually you're just going to have to say no. And they're very aggressive. Like they will follow you and they will yell your name. And again, it's Connor Bedard. You can't, like, if he stops, then it's over. I was at my sister was at the All-Star game. My family came in LA, and LA is in LA Live Complex there. So, you go for dinner, you kind of have to walk through, and being that it was the All-Star game, was the 100-year one too. So there were tons of guys walking around. She was like terrified. She was like horrified walking from the hotel to the restaurant, where literally I had to say no. And you don't even say no, you just keep walking. It's like, you're like, yeah, don't take my picture. Like, not like that, but like, you can't, because if you stop, it's over. Then you're stuck. And then at some point you're in that exact same scenario where you're just telling somebody no. So either you're like, no. And then there's sometimes, listen, if you got time, like, like there's different places where there was more of them. And if it's an off day or something, and I'm walking out to dinner and I have a few minutes, then sure, I'll stop and sign a few things because I'm not in a rush and whatever. But you don't have to do that. And again, Connor Bedard's a superstar. It's going to be that times 10 for him. There's a video of Patrick Kane, which is hilarious. And listen, some of these people are really nice people. Some of them are kind of scumbags, and that's how they go about their business. And somebody asked Patrick Kane, obviously was one of those scumbags, and he grabs the pen, or I don't remember the exact video, but he takes the pen and he goes, yeah, no, and gives it back. So, there's some good people. Obviously, we want to sign everything we can for the families and the kids who actually want autographs. We got all day for that. Unfortunately, there's the other side of it as well, where there are some people who are doing it the right way, some people who are kind of scumbags, and then they try to put out this stuff like Connor Bedard's a jerk because the 20-year-old won't stop and get abused by some people looking to make money.
Right. Well, if you buy the Hockey News, I can't guarantee someone will autograph it, but you will get tremendous content, which will nourish your soul. So go to thn.com for more on that. I'd like to thank Devan Dubnyk. I'd like to thank Michael Traikos, and I'd like to thank myself. This has been The Big Show. See y'all later.